All right, this video is going to address rasterizing text and why you would use it, and what are some of the considerations you really need to take mind of so that you have the ability to edit down the road. So basically, initially, in an educational scenario like we are right here, you may end up having to rasterize your text in order to send it to your instructor, because your instructor you may have used a font like from DaFont or some other type service that is not a system font, so it's not already automatically on your Windows machine or in your Mac machine. And so just for example, this font right here is a non-system font. So if I send this to my instructor and he doesn't have this font on his system, then when you first open the file, it's going to say that there's needs to be a substitution made because that computer doesn't have that font on it. And it will come up with a little yellow triangle over here on the layers palette. And usually if you say make the substitution, it's going to make something that's not even remotely close, and it's going to mess up your layout and cause some problems. So in an academic situation, you want to rasterize your text before you send it to your instructor. However, in a commercial setting, you want to make sure that you have that font and you send that font with your file to the printer, so that they can put it on their system and it's going to give you a higher quality text. So right now, without getting too technical, this is called a vector font. And so if I need to change the spelling, if I misspelled it, which I didn't, but if I did, I could click on the T and I could go maybe .org, which is not correct, but I could change it. I can also change this size with no question whether it's going to resize correctly. It's not going to get fuzzy or anything because it's vector, and it's a mathematical formula at the moment. So it is truly type at this point. But once you're completely done, you need to change it to raster. However, this is a big point, is that you always need to save, no matter what kind of program you're using, you always need to save your file in its native file format. So in Photoshop, the native file format is .psd, Photoshop document. Always save it that way, because then you can edit it later on. But once we rasterize things, then it's no longer editable. So whether it's Microsoft Word or whether it's Adobe Premiere or whatever program that you're using, you always need to save it in the native file first. Okay, and then you can save it as a different file format for your deliverable. So it might be a JPEG, it might be a PDF or ESP or whatever, PNG, whatever kind of the program you need, or whatever kind of file format you need, but always save it in the native file. So in order to rasterize text, so this is not a system font, I want to send it to my instructor and I want him to see exactly, or her exactly, what I made, then I'm going to right click and I'm going to rasterize type. I want you to notice the difference. See, the T is no longer here, so if I double click on this, I'm not getting the editing properties that I would if I click on here. So if I click on the T here in this other layer, then I still have the ability to change fonts, I have to change the size, I can change the spelling, all sorts of things. All those original features are still available to me. But here, when I double click, all I'm getting is layer styles. So I can put strokes and drop shadows and things, but that's not going to allow me to edit the text at all. So we can right click on it and go to rasterize layer, or there's another way we can go to text or type and rasterize layer. It's grayed out now because I've already rasterized it. Now when I can still enlarge it by hitting Control T I can enlarge or make it smaller, but now I'm actually manipulating pixels and I can lose the resolution. You can almost see here, if I zoom in, we're starting to get this rasterization and fuzziness on the D, where if we go up here, it's not as much. It still is a little bit, and that's another issue. But if I enlarge this to a large degree, you're definitely going to see some pixelization. So the key is that if you want the instructor to see exactly what you see, you need to rasterize it, but that would be the very last step, and you need to save that as a different format or version 2 or something like that. Always, always, always save it in its native file so that you can always come back and edit things.